Hello everyone and welcome back to the World Championship. You may have just blinked and missed that previous match because I'll be honest, I was not ready. So I had to rush around and get ready. I didn't think it was going to be that fast. But I am joined with Lorinda here and we're going to be bringing you the next match as rapid as possible it seems. It's going to be Uikyou versus Meati. Lorinda, are you ready for this one?
Yeah, I'm ready. I watched both seconds of the last match. I enjoyed them both thoroughly. Meati with the same lineup as Pocket Train, card for card. Of course, they worked together, and Meati nearly stopped Pocket Train from playing because Meati said he liked the lineup, which made Pocket Train instantly question himself. But after what we've just seen, I think Pocket Train will be quite happy with how it's turned out, and obviously Meati will be excited as well because he'll know what's happened, and he'll be wondering if he can do the same thing again.
Yeah, well, we are going to be checking out Uikyou first and the lineup they have brought as well, and I can already feel Sottle's disapproval with the Plague Death Knight being brought from Uikyou for one of the decks, Druid and Rainbow Mage to round it out. And we did get word that the Paladins have been banned, so we had a bit of a questionable few moments earlier in the day where we went into this tournament expecting Paladin to be banned across the board, and that was not necessarily the case. But we're back to normal now, Lorinda. But what can you tell me about Uikyou?
Well, it's there on the screen, actually. The main important thing is the highest point earner just kept getting those rank 1 legends over and over again. No extra points for doing so, but doing it on multiple servers as well. Obviously, if you do it on multiple servers, you have less chance of being overtaken. If you're rank 1 on 3 servers, someone's going to overtake you on 2 of them or 3 of them for you to lose your points.
I love this as well. First year playing Hearthstone, competitively / taking part in the esports side of Hearthstone. Not bad for a first year, I'd say. Not too bad at all. So not looking at too much of a problem so far for Uikyou as we check out the mage here, and it is going to be that sort of rainbow / mining mage with their blast mage miner there at the top of the list. Did you expect to see more mage in this weekend, Lorinda? Because I feel like a few people are expecting mage to be not quite paladin level, but not quite the level it's at here.
I actually predicted, I think 5, I might have said 6 mages. I thought it wouldn't be horrendously popular. I definitely didn't think it was going to be paladin levels. I also thought it would be the other version with the keyboard and not the excavate version. But a lot of people did think there'd be more mage. I'm not entirely surprised, but I've been kind of on the mage isn't as good as people think bandwagon, even when it was really, really good. So, I'm not surprised, but we are going to see one right here. I just want to pull you back to Uikyou as well, being his first year in esports. He's done incredibly well on ladder, but he has dropped out top 16 of 2 of the 3 Masters Tours and top 8 in the other. So something we've seen from very good ladder players before is sometimes it just takes a little while to get a footing in competitive play. This being one of those people who, was good at ladder long before he was good at tournaments, Meati. So Uikyou, he's had a whole year at it. He's got a lot of very good players around supporting him from the Chinese scene in particular. It should be fine. He doesn't think used to all the nuance of competitive play, down to just routine, down to just making sure you're comfortable, but down to not being nervous. So I'd give Meati an edge here.
Yeah, and speaking a little bit more on Meati, of course, that famous line from Saul, let's say, the best Hearthstone player to have never achieved anything. Well, getting to Worlds is now a pretty good achievement here for Meati, as you mentioned. Prepared the lineup with Pocket Train, and it's kept the point. I did go into this going, I really like Pocket Train's lineup, and for some reason, obviously because Pocket Train's sort of been highlighted recently for Hearthstone, I was like, Pocket Train. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot Meati just had the same lineup, so I expect it to do very, very well. What's going to be very interesting is if Meati can make just as good a show as Pocket Train has just done, and then what happens when they face each other, when or if, shall I say, they face each other. But this is a deck that has been, I think, has done well from all of us who have been testing it and just seeing it overall, which is this Naga Priest. I think for me, this feels like the bring. When we always talk about what's, let's say, the 4th deck, or what's this deck that's really going to crack open a tournament, for me, I think this Naga Priest is very good.
It is very good. Apparently, the Pelagos throwing in there was Rekvam's work, who hasn't brought the deck because of the group he was in, the people he was facing. But he was working with them on this lineup as well, as I understand it. So that's credit to Rekvam, I believe. Again, I don't know how much is memes and how much is real, but that's what I think happened. Just go back to Meati's stat. The players did their own. So Meati was the one who put that 38% in his own stats. Clear on this.
I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with a bit of honesty, is there? So, you know, it's fine. But yeah, this matchup overall going to be very, very interesting because, again, if Meati wins, he will face Pocket Train, again, prep together, same lineup and so on. So it'll be pretty cool to see if that happens at all in the group. It could also happen in a weird way where one loses, Pocket Train wins, but then Pocket loses, Meati wins, and so on. So we could likely get that matchup overall to see who's going to get the better end of that stick. But overall, I do lean towards Meati here, mainly just based on that lineup.
Our first look at Uikyou has had a camera exemption for the rest of the year, but he has to use camera for the World Championships. No two ways about it. We need to see our potential world champion in full glory. And there's Meati in the familiar kitchen setting that he streams from to thousands of fans around the world.
Shall bring victory.
Ah! Yeah, and that looks like a hand. I'm not very good at the priest deck. I will hold up my hands. I have played it a little. But this looks like a pretty good opening hand to me and my untrained eye.
Yeah, Meati
Full
getting
keep,
off
off
to
you
a
go.
good start now. Getting just the one drops available. And that Pelagos can be really, really powerful if he's able to just play it on curve. You don't have to just curve out Pelagos, but if you can play it and you're feeling confident that it's going to live, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, Uikyou has 9, we're on double watch, 9 2-ofs in this Druid, and no Golem, as I understand it. So, you know, I just prefer the one that Meati and Pocket Train have got, not just because it's them, but when I played the multiple 2-of Druids, I did find that if you're going to do that, you just want more dragons, and eventually it was just like, well, just play lots of dragons, and Dragon Golem sometimes just wins a game, so have that as well, and give up on your Reno and just play a deck, just play a good Hearthstone deck. Oh my.
Yeah, Cactus Construct about as good a start as you're going to be able to get here for Uikyou. With the Druid, again, you just want something to be able to fight back on board. Because if this Priest from Meati starts to snowball, there's not really a good way to stop it, or not reliable anyway for this Druid. So, and as you mentioned, because of the question marks with the Reno potential later on, if it even gets that far, maybe with the help of some ramp, it's going to be a tricky one. I do personally just like the tempo play here, and just play the Dreamboat and go, because again, hero power isn't good enough versus this, even though it is just it's relatively small for a Dreamboat, but just having a 2-3 out is a pretty big deal.
I think this is the most, I mean, it is the World Championships, and he is getting more and more experienced at competitive play, but this is the most focused I've ever seen Meati look, like actually not joking around, just getting on with it and taking his time in the opening turns, which is important when you're settling into a tournament, whoever you are, I think. And this is a turn. I don't know what the ordering is. I'm going to wait to see Meati do it, but so many options already to draw cards, put pressure on, do damage. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm sat kind of just staring here at what exactly, because like you said, that there is a few options as to what to do here.
It's the ultimate tempo versus value sort of hand, right? How much tempo do you need? A lot. How much stuff can you do? A lot. Which cards do you want? A lot. How much mana can you spend? A lot. Oh my goodness.
I'm just working out here. I'm not just the. Well, this is what's really tricky to use some of these cards, because they have like sort of multiple effects based on what you're going for here. Because I was looking at, well, what does Funneled Cake do? Okay, it gets some mana back and draws a card. does Meati need to draw a card right now? I don't think so. So I think I like this approach here of just saying, you know what, I don't need to use funnel cake or anything right now. I'll just pile on the pressure and sort of make those trades as awkward as possible for Uikyou.
Yeah, and forcing Uikyou to kill the smaller minion because it's the better minion, and leaving the bigger minion alive because it's the bigger minion. So, and now he's got so much he can do. And again, it's that decision. Try to get some spells cast to get the Handmaiden going as well.
Light sings, and the impure fall.
It's just
drop
infinite
down
stuff.
now. Yeah, this will be good to activate Handmaiden and have the mana to be able to play it. Salesman's going to be picked up here, but this could also just be Priestess as well, just to get the Serpent Wig down.
Yep.
Pelagos Priestess Wig.
That's what I'm seeing as well. That's what I like. It's just so much damage.
But what do you play Wig on? The Pelagos?
Yeah, I wanted an 8/8 on the board. What's your opponent going to do? Nourish you to death? I don't think so. Okay. Now, do you protect your cleric by killing the 3/2 or even the 1/2 here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The cleric does
Here we go.
so much work.
Yeah. All nice cards and all that, but if you do nothing again this turn as the druid, you are facing a full board next turn.
Is it still just ramp though? Yeah, I think.
Oh, I think Uikyou has to. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there is still the there is the Fi in hand, right? Which is a relatively big deal.
Mm-hmm. He's down to only 7 2-drops for Vino watches out there across the world.
Nothing amazing here from Cactus.
Time waits for no one.
No.
Drink with me, friend.
Would have just wanted anything that was a bit more active. You know, some of the other options you can get are actually really strong. I feel like Uikyou's kind of had very mid outcomes from Cactus right now.
I mean, 2 mana 5/5 against a potential big cleric was pretty reasonable. It's just not enough.
Sure.
This is out of control.
And this is the problem now. Although I mentioned Fi obviously not really having any reductions right now, still at that 9. Does have the Innovate though, so that could be something, but is it just a turn too late? Because suddenly the one attack from Fi is not really going to be able to do too much to a Pelagos turn.
No. 0 mana 4/6s are irritating as well, aren't they?
Wait. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Just going to go Priestess and Wig again. And the taunt in the way is a big deal. And this is, I think it's one of those cards that really pushes this deck over the edge, which is the Drifter. Being able to just drop the taunts, and the taunts are pretty big, so you can use them as the sort of the bricks you build on. What happens a lot of the time is you use them to just put be roadblocks in the way of the cards you've already built up, very similar to what's going to happen here with Meati.
Yeah, not putting on the Pelagos because he's going to get a 0 mana Snake Oil for that at some point. If there is a some point, like if there isn't just an end of game happen.
And also just spreading the threats, right? Because if you went Pelagos, then if Uikyou kills, I mean, Uikyou's in a bit of a rough spot, let's be honest. But if you have 3 threatening minions instead of 2, that's better than having the 2, right? Like that's very simple overall. And even though Pelagos is just a 1/6, that's constantly threatening high damage at any particular turn that it can attack. Miracle Growth going to be the pickup here for Uikyou. Going to hope something can happen here, but even a 9/9 taunt doesn't look that good in this situation.
No, and the Fi's going to come down into the Titan turn for Meati now as well, so it's just going to get eaten.
I mean, if it even if the game even continues to that point.
Yeah, if
right?
Meati doesn't just find a lethal here, yeah.
Yeah, because bear in mind, this deck is running
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, there are so many outs, because there's one, just power, right? There's just punching through the taunt. There's Meati, happy with that first game win. But there's just the whole, like, well, is there just enough power on the board? That's set one. But then there's Shard of the Naru. There's plenty of options, even just more buffs, like I said, with that Pelagos is basically knowing the wigs in hand, an 8/8, right? If it doesn't die, so that's an 8/8 that can attack.
Well,
And it
there's
all
zero mana
stacks
snake
up.
oils in hand as well, so
If the trade happens, yeah,
so
right.
if he goes,
you just
I think Uikyou had worked out lethal. I haven't seen it, I don't know for sure. I think Uikyou had worked out as lethal with the 4/4 trading in, get the snake oil, put it on the Pelagos.
Yeah, basically, whichever way you wanted to do it, he was in trouble, right? And that's kind of the point. I think the thing with this priest deck is, it's, yes, at a base level, you want to play minions and buff them, but the amount of little tricks the deck has and the ways it can build these minions up, it feels like it's, you know, this style of priest deck has been around, you know, in and out of Hearthstone for quite a long time now, but this one feels so flexible because you have all of these different tools and different ways to use them to be able to get ahead on board. And I think, yeah, we saw it. It's going to be a rough matchup if Druid doesn't draw well. So Uikyou going down 0-1 so far. And again, that priest, like I said, it's just looking good, and it felt like one of the decks I wasn't expecting too much of going into this weekend, but one of the decks I think is maybe going to make the biggest impact this weekend.
I mean, it already has, you could argue, and yes, you're
Yeah,
right.
true.
Going forward, if Meati ends up playing Pocket Trainer, it's only early days. It's only 1-0. Uikyou's an incredibly good player. Yeah, he's brought decks that can deck. But if it ends up being Meati and Pocket Train, then one of those priests is going to the semi-finals for sure. So yeah, this is definitely the lineup to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, and looking at the rest of Uikyou, of course, he does still have the Druid left. He has the Mage, and he has that Plague DK. But again, it's just a little bit shaky, I feel, just against this lineup, because the Demon Hunter feels like it's just strong enough to get the job done, even though we've seen the deck go very fast and also not really get anywhere. I just think overall Uikyou's in a really rough spot, and he's going to need some kind of help to get over the line here, because although it's obviously possible to win the series, I just think Meati's lineup just has multiple good matchups going into this.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see more people bring the straightforward Dragon Druid that Meati and Pocket have got, because Dragon Golem with the buff version that they've got with the Piper build, it's just your Dragon Golem's bigger than their Dragon Golem, if they've even got one. Okay, their Reno can clear it once, but the second one just does you. It's not particularly subtle. It's not particularly, for these players, it's not particularly difficult to pilot, but it just does the job.
Yeah, I'm a fan of just the 2-of Dragon Druid, just because it feels like I'm just a fan of just playing stuff quickly and just chucking stuff on the board, and because the minions are so beefy, I mean, we're about to find out, you can actually have really good matchups, or at least good games, versus some of these board-focused aggro decks, because yes, they're doing aggro things, but you end up putting down like multiple big cards on like turn 3 and 4. And then suddenly they have to punch through them before they can even really threaten your health. So we are going to go into game number 2.
He needed that. He hadn't got a dragon. He threw away the 2 cards to hit a dragon. He didn't hit a dragon because they don't play many dragons in the deck. It's 8 or 9, which is a lot, but you're not guaranteed it. And he needed a dragon from the cactus there. And he hit one, of course. So now he's in a good spot. But it's just another inconsistency in that particular druid build.
Yeah, is this Meati just going to go straight for Snapdragon?
Yeah.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
I mean, he knows he's in trouble, right? He knows there's all sorts of nasties coming his way here.
Yep, going to be a huge ramp, especially when he sees, because that was the one that was generated, right? So now Uikyou has the option of playing the one that was naturally pulled, but okay, not bad, being able to match up as well. That's pretty much what he wanted.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the second one's going to be a shame for him, but getting the 1 means that he can now play his 4 drops if he rips them off the top and maybe get into the game.
Okay, another good draw here for Uikyou.
Yeah, what do you do with it, though?
Play it.
You just want to play it? Okay.
Yeah, of course, right? It's free. It's a free 3/5.
It is, but it cuts off your ramp.
It does, but I think with this opening, you've equaled in ramp, and I think you just want to be ahead on board because I don't think there's a couple of dragons that like fight back, but if you're like 2 to 3 minions ahead on board, there's not that much that Meati has that like actively sort of like clears the board and gets ahead on the other side, right?
Yeah,
so I like
fair.
it. I like this. Just play stuff.
They are playing the Amber Whelps and the Spine Tails, so there is still hope for Meati to fight back on board.
It's just a bit slower, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like you're fighting back like a 1-for-1 at a time, as opposed to there's no like big sweeping AoE, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Your sweeping AoE is you play your massive Dragon Golem, but Meati's not going to do that because he's been forced to play his dragons.
Right. Yeah.
And his innovates to stay alive.
Okay, take to the skies is something. Gonna be able to do that with gardens. Likely that's an extra dragon as well.
Do you want buffs? Do you want ramp? I want ramp. Meati wants ramp as well. Try to get to that 5, which you should be able to do next turn right now. No, 1 off.
Yeah, 1 off. Ooh. I think this is just like Fizzle and Whelp.
Yeah, you said it last
just
turn.
play
Put
more
things on
stuff.
board.
Like,
Yeah.
It's not like there's a grand plan here. And to be fair, with the pickup of Rey Straza, like you want to ramp to it, right? Obviously, and,
Sort of.
Even if it doesn't end up doing much, but you want to just get to it because I think Uikyou's on the train of, well, I'm winning on board. Let's keep winning on board and start piling on that pressure.
Yeah, just to be clear, it would just be a minion. I know you know that, but yeah, there are still 9 2-ofs left in Uikyou's deck, so you know.
That's what I mean. I think like all fancy stuff has gone out the window for Uikyou now, and it's kind of like just playing Treant Druid, right? And it's just like I have things, just keep hitting my opponent in the face. There's the Dragon Golem though.
Meati really needs a nest mate to here, I think. Maybe the Dragon Golem gets there.
I mean, this is a pretty big taunt.
Yeah, this can hold off for a little while, and if it does hold off, he's okay.
And the thing is, like, against this board, Fi is very significant, right? Like, this is like Uikyou's winning on board, but these aren't the bulky dragons, right? It's just a lot of stuff. So like dropping Fi down, unless there's a really good answer, that's just gonna buy Meati all the time in the world.
Are we dragon tailing and try and hit some good 4s? No. Okay.
Yeah, just wants card draw.
Any dragons off the top for Meati would probably be a big deal here. It's already a reasonable sized deal. 5 6s just everywhere.
For no one.
Yeah, Wiki's got to work out like what he actually wants to or not wants to put into this.
Yeah.
He's definitely got to be thinking about what the next couple of turns look like, especially now because the draws are, Yogs are on, Eoner, like there's a lot of weird end gaming draws kicking out here, but Meati just gonna go for the Dragon Golem. It's only 3, but 3 5 6s is pretty reasonable right now.
Yeah, 3 mana off your Fi as well, of course, which makes that a lot better. Snapdragon in hand to make. It's all looking pretty good. No Reno available for Uikyou. Let's say this game it is possible, but incredibly unlikely. Yogg is going to be the big important card here.
Yeah, and there is more Ramp and Doomkin as well. So there's things to do here. It's not like Meati's setting up lethal right now, right?
Right.
3 5 6s are nice, but Uikyou's on well over, like 40 odd health, right? So
yeah, and Yogg will either clear or remove 2 minions as it stands as well, depending on how the trades go. And then he gets to have the massive turn on 10. Well, he gets to have the massive turn on 10 anyway with the Yogg, so yeah. Titan into Yogg is pretty massive.
Yeah, I think the big deal here is if you look at Meati's position in the game, yes, the next turn's pretty good, but is the turn after it that good? Right? Like, what's the
He might have
draw?
nothing left. Yeah,
well, that's what I
draw.
mean. What's the draw that Meati needs, right? It's basically going to be, what is it, the Drake or the Take to the Skies, right? Like, they're pretty much the things that Meati needs, because this as a final push does not feel that reliable when we can see what's in Uikyou's hand.
Yeah, with that in mind, I want the Thanos here, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a load more stuff to reload after this stuff's gone. Yeah, Uikyou's early board just kept Meati from doing any damage. I mean, he is on 45 as well.
That's what I mean. Like, this is a reasonable board setup here for Meati, but it's not like it's anywhere near setting up lethal.
Yeah, this is why he's spending so long, right? He's doing what you were talking about, like, how do I want this to look?
Yeah, and generally speaking, the longer this game goes on, the worse it is for Meati, right? Like, Meati does not want to play a late game. I mean, just look at Uikyou's hand. Like, you don't want to play a slow late game versus this, but Meati's going to have to find out a way to clear this up, whereas Uikyou starts to get the big payoffs kicking in now. Yogg's are on, Titan goes down.
Don't think there's much left. Uikyou pointed the minions, it didn't seem to have many targets.
It's fine. Oh, okay.
Oh my.
The equality is definitely something, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got to be Flower Child, right?
Has to be.
Ooh. Can't proc it, but it probably just doesn't matter at this point.
Right, absolutely.
Oh, wait. Oh,
Gonna
Hero
proc it.
Power. Yeah, I was assuming he was going to play the more minions, but yeah, okay. Hero
Yeah,
Power,
same.
Sure. I generally wondered,
Okay.
like... Sure, I guess. Yeah, okay.
I actually
was just
wanted him to
thinking,
play
like-
more stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the idea is knowing, or I think it was knowing that it would draw the Dragon Golem, right? It was keep the dragons in hand.
Yep. 6 2-ofs, by the way, in Uikyou's deck, on 2-off watch. I believe. I'm not 100% sure on the tracking. No, it's less than that, actually. Some of the new cards don't get removed, so the Cactus Construct, for instance, have definitely been played. You might be down to 1 or 2 2-ofs.
Wait, did that just play minions cost 5 more?
Time waits for no one.
Not sure. Being honest.
Oof. Yes. Yes, it did. Well, that's a problem.
It's awkward, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, when suddenly your whole hand's unplayable just like that. Yogg Saron saying no, thank you. And Uikyou, I think there was a slight sigh of relief there. He was in control of that game, but I think the equality really threw him off a little bit and was like, oh no, I have the board, but it all is 1 health. So does manage to fight back. Again, weirdly enough, like not really any of the Reno stuff was relevant in any real way there, but did get the Druid over the line, so that's 1 job done, and we're going to even this series up 1-1 now. And what a weird game. I think like both players sort of ran out of gas and then got going again, but Uikyou just had that 1 extra step. I think the draw into the Yogg and Titan really pushed him over the edge.
Yeah, he just had that one turn where he took a bit of damage, but because he'd made the early board, he was able to keep everything else from snowballing. He had that one decision where he decided to put his whole board into one minion. That probably saved him 8 or 10 damage or something. I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 attack minion. And after that, he just had to weather that one hit and then hope that Yogg wasn't actually outrageously bad. And Yogg is very rarely outrageously bad. You can construct some bad ones, but leaving 1 or 2 minions up is usually the worst case.
And it's like a fantastic answer to Dragon Golem specifically, right? Like it's the thing you want to play as Druid into it, because as I mentioned when we've been talking about Druid on and off, is that if you're in the mirror or a rough mirror, right? 2 Druids, both have dragons, whatever. If one plays a big Dragon Golem and you're not already big on board, it's not really anything that you just play your own and hope it's good enough, right? Like there's not really anything that actively deals with that apart from the players who are bringing Yogg and have that the attacks into all the enemies. So that's one of the few things they can actually do to fight back and not just fall behind, because without that Yogg, what was Uikyou really going to do, right? Like there was just, I'll play a couple of dragons as well, but then Meati's always that one step ahead. So the draw of the Yogg, the draw of the Titan, really helping Uikyou out there and getting him that victory. But that does mean there's still the Druid and the Demon Hunter over on Meati's side, and Uikyou's now got Mage and Death Knight. So a bit of a mixed bag for the rest of the series, Lorinda.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I'm trusting in the lineup that Meati and Pocket have brought. But yeah, it's by no means in the bag, but I think they'll be happy with what they're playing against here. I think they'll be happy with Uikyou's lineup. I think they'll feel they're favoured. I'm saying they because obviously they'll have analysed the group together as they're in the same group with the same lineup. Also, of course, Uikyou hitting the dragon off the cactus there. I can't remember if he top decked one because I was so excited about the cactus itself, but getting him all the ramp that he needed in the world. And also the decision you called, where he chose not to ramp again, but actually went wide and saved the ramp for later. Turned out to be a good call. But here we are. Meati on the Demon Hunter, which... You asked me if Mage surprised me. The amount of Demon Hunter has surprised me. I knew there'd be some, but there's so much. I'm surprised how much there is.
Oh, really? What made you surprised? Is it do you just not think the deck's strong enough? Or is it that the decks can be painful to pilot over the course of high-pressure scenarios?
I feel that in the lineup that could have come along, in some of the lineups, it's just not particularly well matched. I think you had to have a very good meta read to bring this, and they've had the good meta read. I think it's the right call. But there's enough bad matchups for this deck that I felt that people might not want to risk it and just stick with more tried and trusted stuff instead.
Because I know for me, and obviously I'm nowhere near as good as these players, but I know mental fatigue would kick in and I would start misplaying with this deck massively, because if you make one slip up, you're in trouble. Obviously these players, as I said, a lot better, and I am enjoying watching, or going to be watching some more Demon Hunter here, as Meati has a pretty solid hand with Spectral and Wayward on that left side. It means that pretty much just on-demand, powerful outcast options as and when he wants to do them.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into what you said there a little bit more as well. The fatigue. They play 3 matches in a day. How fatiguing can it be? Every player who's played at a very high level always comes out the first tournament or two and says, I am so tired. I don't know what. I played 9 games of Hearthstone. I'm shattered. This takes it out of you. You're just going to have to trust me on it, because it really does absolutely take it out of you.
Well, Meati got hold of Sigil, which is absolutely huge, especially within the next turn or so. Uikyou just going to take these slightly, I don't want to say slow in a bad way, but it is, a bit of a slower opening. Again, not the keyboard version, not going to be popping off super quick, regardless. But Meati really respecting this board here from Uikyou. Doesn't want to give him any wiggle room here to be able to start pushing damage and really threatening, because I feel like in this matchup, it's a much more reliable number to try and hit, right, as the Demon Hunter, to try and kill your opponent. Yeah. Because it's not like you're against a Warrior or Druid or, Death Knight, for example, that can really mess with the health totals and make things a little bit weird. You pretty much know your target and know that you have to just get there. And given enough turns, Demon Hunter will always get there, but they do just need the time.
Yeah, a common theme amongst current Hearthstone decks and meta is try to deal some chip damage to make the big thing you do a lot easier.
Yeah.
We see a lot of these early board fights with utter garbage minions, like really small minions, not necessarily bad minions to have in your deck, but small minions to have on the board. And that 2 damage that Uikyou might push, that sort of thing, it can add up so quickly to suddenly you only need to stiff with 1 mana or 1 reverb or whatever.
I think it's just very similar to what we've spoke about loads with the Nature Shaman, right? You play for board to push some damage, and then suddenly your big burst combo just got a whole card easier, which is a real big deal. So
exactly, yeah. So that seems to be a common thing with this, with Shaman, with the Demon Hunter, with Warrior to some degrees, even the Control Warrior, where you're just looking to hit them with Odin 1 big turn, and 12 is easier to do than 17 or whatever.
Right.
So everybody's fighting for board with their minions that have already done their job. They're trying to keep them hanging around to do an extra point or 2 of damage, and it's quite fascinating meta, actually.
I just use the mana. Yeah, I like this. Just get that forged now, so you don't have to think about it later. That's my general go-to with forging cards. Is do I have 2 mana?
Oh.
Yeah, just do it now.
Do we just want Outcast Wolf? I do.
I think so. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and if they're dealing with your lot of stuff, then they're using their mana to deal with it. Your reverb sorts most of it out, but even so, it's the whole turn for Uikyou just to get rid of these 2 wolves, and then it's back to Meati with time to play his sigil, maybe even here.
Yeah, that's always the tricky thing, and something I had to sort of reset my brain with was in all the matchups and how it's going, how early you can afford to go in, how early do you even need to go in? Because I think that's a trap I definitely fell into. There was feeling I had to sort of go in with the Demon Hunter, start going off with the Sharpshooter, when I just didn't need to. I could have just waited a turn or so, and then, had it much easier, as opposed to trying to go for the, oh, well, if I draw this and this and this, I'll win. But if I don't, I probably lose.
Yeah, and another thing is the sigil. If you play it too early, not only have you not got a board, but you've got a handful of stuff that you're trying to dump and get outcasts out of anyway, so it's not necessarily that early, usually anyway. This board presence is far more important. And yeah, here's the horrible reverb ping that Uikyou's ended up having to do. And he's going to hate having to do this, because now Meati is going to get a chance to play sigil and just put things on the board and then set up for sharpshooter turn.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like, on surface, that was a reasonable turn, right? Uikyou dealt with 2 6-attack minions, right? Like, that's okay, you've just saved 12 damage, but it was pretty much the whole turn, so suddenly Meati gets to just do whatever he wants right now. And as you mentioned, that is letting Demon Hunter do whatever it wants, even for a turn or so, is very, very scary indeed.
Looking to Spectral Sight first, just in case he hits the other one, doesn't need to mess around with the sigil then.
Oh, okay.
Tempting, but you want that sigil down, right?
Oh, yeah. I just feel like it's a good pickup because you will get there, right? If you look at the rest of the hand, like, that Wayward is not going to be that hard to activate.
And it's allowed him to play the Desperado for a little bit more chip damage, a little bit more board, a little bit more annoyance. And back to you, Uikyou, who knows what's coming next turn now, so he's got to put down as much health as possible and remove anything he can of Meaties, and we all know how you do that. Actually, there's 2 choices, so we don't all know how you do that.
Was that 5 or 6?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Here are the big draws.
Meaty's back in his chair like he's going on a roller coaster ride or something, because he is about to go on a roller coaster ride, most likely.
Yeah, second momentum as well that's generally what you want to see for some really, really easy damage.
Yeah. Always want to get your rush played early to make as much room as possible.
Okay, got the mistake as well. It's going to be nice.
Dispose for another 5. It's like, what, 2 off, 3 off, 4 off, 3 off.
Are you okay?
Final answer. No,
3.
I'm not
There you
okay.
Yeah, and this is it, right? Like, suddenly there's a big question mark, right? What can Uikyou do to stave off not only just survive next turn, but for the rest of the game, right? Like, that's kind of the problem right now, because it's not as if it's like, oh, if I clear the board, there won't be any damage. Well, no, there's hero power, and there's other cards and spells in the deck that can just get there, as well as a second sharpshooter, because it feels like an ongoing theme with Demon Hunter, pretty much throughout its life, is, well, they probably draw their whole deck. So it's not like you can say, well, I hope Sharpshooter's not in the hand, because you have to just, especially at this point in the game, just assume the second one is, right? Or at least that's how I play anyway.
No, I agree, and there's so much attack buff anyway, either discovered or just naturally in the deck, that you just die to so much stuff.
They're still going down swinging, right? Like, that's still just a thing that's not been played yet. Does get the taunt up, which is something.
Uh-huh. And it's gone.
Yeah, and that should be guaranteed, right?
It's got to be. I mean, you can probably construct a world where Meati's microwave catches fire and he has to run away and put out a fire, and then he doesn't win the game. But yeah, he's won this game with Hearthstone.
Yeah. And there we go. Game number 3 going to Meati. Demon Hunter is over the line now. Just one more left if he wants to move on to the winner's bracket in his group. So going to be looking good if you can just get that last deck over the line. And again, I think this is I do feel like the first match, of course, we could talk about the stakes and how people's emotions run depending on how far they are in the tournament. But for me, at least, in tournaments I've played a while ago now, let's say, it was always the first match that I was most bothered about, which sounds stupid because I've played in the finals of tournaments before and things, but that first match, you just want to sit down and have a good start. And if you have a good start, I really do believe that sets you up for just the rest of the tournament, even if you end up not winning it. But the first one, at least for me, is always the one I'm most worried about, and always the one I'd much rather just get a win under the belt quick.
Yeah, I mean, it settles the nerves, doesn't it, as well? Like, you just sit there. The first game, you just feel a little bit awkward no matter what. But yeah, it settles you down. And one more game, and Meati gets to play his friend and playtest partner.
Yeah, but Uikyou's still got plenty of time to be able to get into this. He just needs to win twice with the next couple of decks. Meati, of course, only needs to get his Druid over the line, and I guess we'll get to see more of just all these different Druid builds over the course of the weekend and see how they perform. Because again, the build that Meati's running for me feels like the one, or at least the one. Yeah, but it feels like the one I would play, honestly, or at least, 29 cards, let's say, is the one I would play. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to perform overall as Uikyou's, of course, the Druid, but it's going to be going up against the Mage in this game number 4. So if Meati wins, just for those of you maybe tuning in more recently, he goes on into the winners portion of his group. If Uikyou wins or Meati loses, whoever loses, they'll go to that lower bracket match and face elimination.
Elimination, one of the toughest competitors in this event. Everybody's scared of them.
I wouldn't be. I'd greet them like an old friend.
Oh, come on, UK's best gamer speaking.
Yeah.
Come on.
Many years ago, many.
Still
years
though,
ago
they haven't had. You haven't lost your title.
True.
You're the reigning champion, Raven, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They cancelled it, I think, because you were unbeatable. That's what I think. Talking
Look,
of
I won
unbeatable,
that by a lot. Put it this way, it was not close, so maybe that was the case. Yeah, maybe they're like, just can't repeat this again.
Any ramp? There it is. It's always there.
Yeah, insta-pick. And there's the thumbs up from Meati. Because, honestly, there's not a card, at least at the moment for me, that invokes that kind of powerful feeling as playing the Whelp on 2. Because you just think, this is so strong, surely you cannot lose at that point. So yeah, I can understand Meati's excitement.
Oh my goodness. The only other thing that feels as good is drawing your final 2 off on turn 8 on your Reno Warrior deck.
Sure. Well, I wouldn't know
the
what
only
that
thing
feels
close.
like because I don't play bad decks, Lorinda.
I tested bad decks because I knew that these people would bring bad decks. I didn't know that at all, but I tested them anyway because I understood them. Well, Uikyou needs to start taking care of some of this, which means the Reverberations is going to eat it, yeah.
It's going to help, though. It's something, right? And again, we can see that the rest of Meati's hand is... Okay, Cactus helps. But the rest of Meati's hand was like... I'd say okay. Not bad, not great. But Cactus being able to fill out this turn is going to be pretty nice overall.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, I
going
imagine
to
it's
say,
gonna
Meati, you're
be
not
well,
streaming now. Don't rip the rat, please.
Savitz would love it, though.
Oh my. Shush. This thing fills your hands up with really annoying 1-drops really quickly, by the way. I don't know if you've played this in Cactus.
Annoying 1-drops
so
for your
silly.
opponent, though, I would say.
Oh, annoying if you rip Dragon Golem. You bet they're annoying.
Yeah. Also, just nothing great to even kill them off for Uikyou, right? Like, there's nothing that feels clean here. I really like this approach that, not playing the time lost because there was no real need to. Just get that hero power, kill off the Reverb Dragon, and just push.
Yeah, yeah. These are like money in the bank for Fi every turn as well. If you got a bit of mana left over, just have some happy whelps. They are happy as well, by the way. The artwork on the happy whelp, it is so cheerful. It's the happiest whelp you've ever seen. It's amazing. Yeah, and Uikyou knows, taking care of them.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
decent clear there. Or at least not full clear, of course, but decent defense there from Uikyou. Garden's going to come down now.
turning the whelps into actual Hearthstone cards now.
Yeah, this is pretty good with the hero power. Just has to... We'll have to trade the Snapdragon in as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not going to bother. Okay.
Well, this is what I mean. That they fill in your curve beautifully. They're just good enough to fill in your curve and, constantly be a pain.
Well, I think in these matchups as well, a lot of the deck, it's kind of what you talked about earlier. A lot of the matchups feel very scrappy, right, in the early game, and a lot of these are just very heavily fighting for that board.
Yeah. Meati just waiting to rip Dragon Golem off the top next turn and hope his opponent hasn't got a creation.
Okay, not bad.
6-mana Hydra's going to do some work on the other side of the board next turn.
Yeah, Uikyou's fighting back, and I really like the Thalnos drop, and not holding it or anything weird for spell damage. It's just, no, draw me more cards, please.
Yeah, Meati's out of stuff.
Yeah, Meati has to kill off the that minion. It's going to be tricky to deal with otherwise, so Fi's going to take a good amount of damage there, but still Meati just saying, if he can just push a bit more damage, then suddenly Alistraza can be in range to be able to deal with this.
Do it.
Just play the big thing.
Uikyou's facial expressions are exactly how I imagined from chats, by the way.
I'm surprised it probably... I don't know if it would be bad or not, but I think I would have traded the Thalnos
Sure.
and just drawn a card. There's also, again, depending on how defensive he wants to be, he does have another reverb, right, if he really wants to.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Picked up the bird. Yeah, so going to reverb the Fi, get some healing. Yeah, I like this. Be able to trade the Thanos now, yep. Yeah, really good turn there from Uikyou.
Yep, worked out nice. Oof. It's not what you wanted.
Well, the weird part here is like, is this innovate Alexstrasza to kill the Fi?
To kill the 5-1, or do you just tank it? And, yeah, it's
But
horrible.
the problem is if
isn't
you
it?
tank it, you're healing for 5, so then suddenly
Yeah.
your Alexstrasza's not really doing that much damage. So I think, yeah, I think this sucks. You don't enjoy it if you're Meaty, but I think you do it.
Do it, he has.
All this research points
But now it really sucks.
Yeah, this is Uikyou buying some time now. Perhaps in Alexstrasza knows that the damage isn't going to be too bad coming out.
If I'd been quick there, which I wasn't, I could possibly have got those secrets.
Yeah, it's always objection.
Good point, actually. Yeah, why was I even
Yeah,
thinking?
it's just always objection. You always just don't get to do a thing. That's all you need to know.
Bask in my radiance.
Now Uikyou can start to really pile on the pressure.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to go to a game 5.
I don't like Illuminate here. Okay, just taking Fire Sale as like a just in case scenario. Like, what's the worst possible thing that could happen? I don't think that's going to cut it.
It's not.
That's the one thing, like, I don't know if, again, we've both spoken about, like,
cycle of life.
quite liking the 2 of Dragon Druid, but I do feel like we've not seen much of the sort of mass dragon hands that, you know, where you have the take to the skies.
Take to the skies.
You've had time loss generate you one also, and then you know you've got tons of dragons in hand, and you can really just sort of chain big minions. We've seen these whether it's the matchups or not, but we've seen the opponents of these actually hold on to this, at least in this matchup so far versus Meati, where Uikyou's managed to just control the pressure and just hold it off basically and say, no, you're not going to be able to chain tons of dragon after dragon after dragon and overpower them with stats. Managed to push them off and then get in that sort of top deck mode, which is not really something that this Dragon Druid really excels at, because unless you're counting like Time Lost or Take to the Skies exactly, there aren't any top decks that really say, oh, I've won now, right? Like, nothing really gets you into the game properly, other than maybe some of the card generation stuff. So we've seen that happen a couple of times now in Meati. Might be doing the opposite of Pocket Train here, and not only maybe losing this series, but also lose it with some really sort of struggling looking games, right? Like this Druid especially is not really felt as powerful as at least I thought it was going to be coming into this tournament.
Yeah, he hasn't played his Amber Whelps and his Spine Tails at all, which are the ones that really help you swing the board in the early game. Like, play my 3/3, kill your 3/3 for 3 mana, you know, that sort of thing. Haven't seen any of that going on. So he's always been behind on cards. And again, like you say, we saw Take to the Skies late in the first time he played the Druid, but he hasn't really had those turn 6 Dragon Golem, haha, 5/6s or 5/7s, I win.
Yeah.
Unlucky. We just haven't seen that happen at all for him. And he's got one more go at it. As Uikyou's starting to feel the pressure a bit here, I think.
Well, I think this is the reactions to someone who now has to queue the Death Knight. Is my understanding here, because the problem here, as this famous Hearthstone philosopher once said a long time ago, was if you play a minion against Death Knight, you win. And I believe their name was Sottle. So
he also used the phrase buyer's remorse earlier today, and I think Uikyou might have been having some of that right then.
Well, if you look now, Meati, yeah, there's the nod. Yeah, I was going to say, this is the beefy Dragon Druid hand, where you just go splash, big dragon, dead. And that's going to be the plan here. Oh, a second one as well, okay. So these are the hands I sort of am more used to seeing, right? Where you just tempo out huge dragons and overpower the opponent too early. We've not been seeing that in this matchup. And Uikyou on the Death Knight, I actually, without being like overly zealous. I think Death Knight's okay. It's not a horrendous deck, but I think against this type of matchup, the whole your opponent played some minions and you die does hold up.
Interesting choice here for Meati. He can just Spine Tail it, have a massive thing on the board
Yeah.
and kill, or he can play more ramp and still kill it with a hero power. But yeah, have 7
Yeah,
attack on board and I'm adding more.
Yeah, don't need ramp if you're just playing big dragons. And next turn there's Whelp, Innovate, Spine Tail, right? So the tempo just gets more tempo-y.
Or Flower Child into Dragon Golem. Like, he's got choices. Oh, he's got the Dragon Golem. Yeah, now we do your play.
We all
Okay,
exist in
whatever.
harmony.
Don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, either or. Because look at Uikyou. Uikyou can't even look. He's like, oh no, I've finally been Dragon Druided.
Well, this makes the Dragon Golems huge, right? The play
Exactly,
that we were looking
yeah,
at
that-
makes them fairly small. This is just the end.
I genuinely believe that, one, I think this was probably the better play. But I think if there was just Splash Spine Tail, that would have also... done it the other way around. I think that would have been just as fine, right?
Yeah, this one just
Because-
gets you a board you can't kill into, if you somehow kill it, it's a board you can't kill.
Yeah. Well, a rock's going to help.
Oh,
Throw the old
also... Sorry, I keep cutting you off. I'm really sorry.
No,
This
go.
this plays around Frost Plague as well, with the Innovate Dragon, if you had to.
Ah, sure, yeah, you are right. Yeah. So there's the Dragon Golem. And here's what also could be the beginning of the end. Innovate out Phi. Nothing to rush into, but no need to rush if you've got this many stats on board. And just like that, I think Meati might have been feeling the pressure going into this last game, but I just don't know how this can win here for Uikyou. And I think Uikyou knew it from, what, turn 2?
Yeah, Philosopher says Meati played some minions, so don't mind relaying that.
Yeah.
But this
It
game's not going
kind
to
of
drag on,
happened.
Raven, is it?
Hey. And the reason I'm not saying much is I don't think there's that much to say at this point. I'm not really sure what Uikyou can do. Uikyou knows it, I know it, you know it, everyone knows it. This is not the opening you want. This is not the matchup you want. This is, at least for me, one of the matchups you really want to avoid if you're going to be playing a Death Knight right now. So I think it is what it is.
4, 5, 6, 9, 12. I think it's lethal even if it kills the minion, but he's playing this to entertain us, I think. Oh no, because he gets health.
No, it's
life
18.
gain, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So it's 18.
On this heal.
I forgot about the healing. Well, shoot it and go.
It's just working out. Is it push everything and then Snaptail? Snaptail. I'm just merging cards. It's like some polymerization or something. Spine Tail and Snapdragon was available if he wanted it, and to just trade with one of the 3/4s. But he's going to choose to hero power and put in the 2/1 instead.
Yeah, makes a space on the board for next turns. Next turn, do you get the joke? But for next turns, whatever removal might happen.
Either way, Uikyou held on for a turn, but I'm not sure what magical card he could draw. Blood Boil, not playable, even though that card is, reasonable at hanging on a little bit longer. And Uikyou, just frustrated, I think.
Yeah, it's active.
Oh, sorry, it is, of course it's playable.
Yeah.
I forgot about the reduction for some reason.
But,
Yeah. Playable.
Well, he's excavated
Yeah.
sometimes.
Just not enough. Hero Power going to end it, and Meati is going to go on to face Pocket Train in the winners match of Group B. Meati, as you can see, quite happy with that victory, I would say. It's subdued, but quite happy overall. But congratulations to him. A bit of a rough one there for Uikyou, of course, and I do feel for him. Not much you can really do, especially in that last game, right? You play you play the DK and you get tempoed out by Dragon Druid, right? Like, that happens. We know that matchup's tough, and it just wasn't meant to be there. But Uikyou is knocked to the lower bracket. He is not out of it yet. But for me, Lorinda, I'm excited now that I can put my feet up and watch Pocket Train versus Meati to see who's going to be the total winner out of Group B.
Yeah, but I don't know if you have time to get your feet actually anywhere. Like, you lie back and it'd be like 2-2. Like, you might have to be quick to get settled down for that one, because that is going to be a rapid match of Hearthstone, I think. If there's a Druid mirror, it might take some moments, but it's going to be a quick one.
Yeah, and just we have a quick look, and probably emphasis on the quick, as the game did not take too much there, but that is what I was talking about. The previous games where we saw the Druid, I was like, yeah, it's kind of struggled, not really managed to get there. This is what you expect from this Dragon Druid, at least for me, where, as you can see, the game ends, you've got a good chunk of dragons in hand, you put a lot of pressure on with those golems, as well as some of the more tempo options, and you just overrun your opponent with minions that are bigger than theirs. That is basically how that sort of 2-off Dragon Druid works, and it worked pretty well for Meati. So at this point, Lorinda, Pocket Train and Meati doing well, same lineup, unfortunately for them, same group, but it does look like we're going to get at least one of them into the top 4.
Yeah, and Rekvam already there as well, another player who tested with these players. Again, brought a different lineup because reasons, but yeah, the three of them work together on this, and it looks like very good chance all three of them make it into day 2.
Yeah, really impressive overall, and that means we do have the Meati versus Pocket Train match coming up next, so make sure to not go anywhere, because even if it goes the way Meati's matchup just went, at 3-2, it still wasn't the slowest match in the world, but if Pocket Train has anything to say about it, he'll make sure it's sped up just like his first 3-0. So like I said, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with that next matchup.